Ladies and gentlemen, there's Bob. Actually, it's more like lady and gentlemen, right? Anyway, most YouTube channels have multiple builds going on at the same time. So I decided I'm going to make that poor financial decision myself. So if you remember, about a year ago, I had a poll asking which vehicle are we going to build? Are we going to build this 1981 K10 named Bob? Or are we going to build this 1953 Jeep Willys named Willie? And the poll was pretty lopsided. Not very many people voted, but still, it was still lopsided. And most people wanted Bob to be built. So let's do that. This was the truck that belonged to my dad. He bought this truck when I was a young kid. I can't exactly remember how old I was, maybe 8 or 9 years old. And finally I have parts that we can get this done. And as I mentioned before, we're going to run a 4-link front and rear. We're going to run a Dana 60 in the front, and I have the Sterling 10.5 axle that we are going to run in the rear. Let's go take a look at them. Here's the Super Duty Dana 60 that we're going to use. This is kind of a standard Dana 60 now that everyone's using in their solid axle swaps or upgrade to 1 tons. It's from a 2005. This is the same axle that we have in Frankie, our crew cab truck. Here's the Sterling 10.5. It has disc brakes. Both these front and rear axle has 373 gears. I know that's not impressive. I don't know if I'm going to change the gear ratio or not because I only want to run 35-inch tires on Bob. I want to make it more of a daily driver, everyday truck, and I want it to have a lot of power. So this is Don. It's named Don because Don is our donor. Don is going to be donating its engine, transmission, and transfer case to the build of Bob. That is a tongue twister. Don has an 8.1 liter 496 engine, an Allison transmission, and I believe a 243 electric shift transfer case. I double checked, it's a 263. Many people don't like the electric shift transfer case, but I think it's gonna work good in my swap because all I have to do is move some wires and some buttons and I'm done. I'm gonna take out this engine, have it rebuilt, bore it 30 over, and that's gonna turn this 496 into a 502. There's a company called Raylar that has just released a new intake manifold for this engine. That intake manifold is said to increase power by about 30%. I'm wrong again, folks. That intake manifold is going to increase airflow by 30%, not power. I believe that's what they're saying. So I want to use the Raylar intake manifold with Raylar pistons, 30 over forged pistons, which will allow me to use their larger camshaft, and I'm also going to use their roller rockers. There's a YouTube guy, used to be on the show Trucks, but he built an 8.1 with a single turbo, and he's pushing like 850 foot-pounds of torque at the rear wheel. That would be amazing to have as a daily driver. You look at Don and you think, man, that's a pretty decent truck. Why are you going to cut it up? Don does look like a decent truck from this side, but its frame, exhaust, brakes, everything is in horrible condition because this truck was born and raised on the east coast of the United States where they use salt on the roads. If we look at this side of the truck, that salt has devastated this truck. I went and I took this on a test drive. I drove it probably 15 miles on the test drive. Went back, gave the gentleman the money. In my driveway, I hit the brake pedal and the brake lines burst. The brake lines were so rusted that they burst when I applied brake pressure. So there you can see the brake light flashing, caution, danger, something seriously wrong. You can see that this truck has 129,000 miles on it. It does have an exhaust leak. That's why we think the service engine light is on. It actually has multiple exhaust leaks because the entire exhaust system is rotten. I have it in 4 high right now. I was testing the 4-wheel drive. Everything does work. I disconnected the rear drive shaft. Look how rusted that is. I disconnected the rear drive shaft. That way I know that it's in 4-wheel drive. So I put it in 4 high and 4 low to make sure that the 4-wheel drive works, and it does indeed work. Another reason I bought an entire truck to do my engine swap is because everything I need is right here. This truck was running and driving perfectly before I brought it home and the brake line burst in the driveway. But anything else I need to do the engine swap is here. It's right here. I don't have to go to the pull apart 17 times to try and get anything that I need. Everything is right here. And I was super lucky to find this truck that was in such poor condition because I got it for really cheap. I got it for $3,500. And around here, an 8.1 engine and transmission is close to $2,200 by itself with no wiring harness. And you don't know whether or not it works. You don't know if it has a thrown rod or a spun bearing. You don't know. This truck runs perfectly fine. So that's the plan. If you all have any questions, just post down in the comments, let me know. I'm gonna start out by tearing Bob down just to the frame, and I'm gonna install my suspension, my tires. I'm gonna drop the engine and transmission on there, do the exhaust. Almost the same steps that we took on Frankie, the crew cab. But on Frankie, I started to build the truck in its fully assembled state, and I ended up having to take the body off anyways. So this time with Bob, we're just gonna tear the body off from the start and start with the frame. Don? Wow, Don. The frame is in similar condition also. It's a shame. Please stop salting the roads. This is one of my favorite body style trucks also. When I was in high school, this body style was just released and I was in love with it. It's a shame to see it like this.